Hey everyone, how you doing today? Topic number 3 with Dana from Hemlane is how can you use Hemlane to help you qualify tenants? So I'm going to turn it over to her and she's going to show us how it's done.
Great. Thanks, Michael. So the first thing, we spoke about this a little bit earlier, but you definitely want with the tenants to know the story. That's something that you brought up that I'm a huge fan of, and really knowing everything about this tenant before they move in as much as you can. So I kind of think of it as a process flow when you think about tenants. And at every single step along the way, you're going to ask something new and different. And what I mean by that is if they're just interested in your property, but they haven't viewed the property, you are not going to ask them to do a background and credit check for you. Mm-hmm. Tenants aren't going to do that. But you can pre-qualify them. You can ask, is your credit over this? Is your income over this? But they're not going to fill out a full application. And so that's the leads here. When you have a lead, your goal is to pre-qualify them and invite them to showing. So this one has a showing pending, but also taking notes on them of like, you could write here, not qualified. They have 3 evictions, right?
Yeah.
You'd probably in that case, just go down here and click move to archived, right? Yeah. If you find that out right away. So knowing how many people you have in your pipeline will also help when we spoke about the emotion of a vacancy. If you don't have a tenant in the property, and you don't have enough leads, you have 5 leads here, 2 applicants and 2 preparing move in. These are can be different properties, but if you don't have enough leads for a particular property that you filter for, and it's been on the market, that might be a signal of, hey, maybe the rental price isn't right. We need to reduce it. Mm-hmm. Then once you're ready and you feel comfortable with them, you can click invite to apply. When they apply, full comprehensive application, background and credit check as well, and you can kind of see how things go along. Some quick tips with it. One thing I've been a strong proponent of is not requesting credit and background check until you view the application. You don't have to. You could do both at the same time. You could definitely do both at the same time. But I've seen situations where someone goes and clicks invite to apply to everyone and then says request tenant screening on every single tenant. And then 4 of them pay for a background and credit check. And then you have to obviously deny 3 of them because only 1 of the tenant groups can move in. Yeah. For a tenant, that feels terrible. If you paid a background and credit check in our system, it's $30. It's the lowest actually TransUnion allows us to go. And it's just not a great feeling, right? So from that perspective, I definitely promote looking at the application first, then requesting the background and credit check.
That makes sense. Again, it's about being a good human both ways, right? So that makes total sense.
Totally. And then you can go in here, you can invite co-applicants if you want, you can multiple people, anyone over 18. I always recommend anyone over 18 should be an applicant. They should go through the application and the background and credit check. There's no exception, at least that I've ever given from that. You can also message them all in the system. So there's a messages tab here, application, you can see screening and then additional documents. You can also message all your tenants. So you could go in here and say, for this property, anyone who has not scheduled a showing, and you could go ahead and mass message, it goes text and email to them saying, don't forget to schedule your showing with us, or we're doing a showing on Saturday. If you're interested, let us know. And then the reports, what the reports look like. We'll walk you through the move-in, requesting the rent, security deposit, all of that. But here what you'll see is the reports. We do work with TransUnion on it. So we'll have a full comprehensive credit report with scores, trade lines, as I mentioned. So, this is People's Energy. There's a balance of 3,000 here and they've been late. Here you'll see 30 days they were late, 60 days they were late. This is 2014 November, and you can see how long they've been late for. This is 120 days plus. So you can go through that, look at anything that's up for collection as well. This looks like it's Sprint, so it's a cell phone bill they're not paying. And then we also do on this comprehensive eviction as well, eviction history. You can actually search these record IDs and files to learn more. And then the criminal report as well is in there.
Very nice.
Great. And those are all in the tab. If you click on here into the screening, you'll be able to click on it and see it there. So that's a quick overview of how it works to tenants, and then also going through the standard process of qualifying them and making sure that they are qualified as you go through the process. And again, I think one of the most important things, whether you're using a system or whether you're using Excel, is put all of this down, put it down. How many applicants or how many people are interested in my property? How many people are going through the application? Where did people fall off on the funnel? Because it might be surprising to you that it's a personal problem. I've had situations where people are like, oh yeah, well, they don't go to my showings. And there's tons of people interested in my property, but no one's viewing it. And it's like, okay, well, your showings are at 10 a.m. on Monday. No one is going to showings at 10 a.m. on Monday. And on top of that, you're slow to respond to them, and your property looks like just like the rest in the neighborhood. So they're just going to go to the next place next door that's for rent, where they have showings every day on the hour at noon or something during lunchtime. So it's important to understand that data to really understand, how do I shorten the timeline of vacancy? How do I get the most qualified person in there for the property? And then always keeping in mind fair housing. So in our system, we make sure to do that, right? There's no questions that would violate fair housing. And then every state is obviously different with that fair housing. Like in California, for example, it's highly recommended that you select the first qualified applicant. And it's not because you could have a fair housing violation if you accept the second one. There might be something that tracks back to race, religion, sex, some other reason, and you were discriminating.
Yeah, totally agree. Again, folks, Hemlane is being gracious enough to do two things for you. One is give you a 30-day trial. You can just go to hemlane.com, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And then if you do sign up for the service, make sure you use the coupon code ZUBER, Z-U-B-E-R, and it will save you some money on your first year, correct?
That's correct, 20%.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you for this. It's been a great weekly discussion. Have a great week.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael.